Hey guys, welcome back. So now we're jumping back into Hulk vs. Thor, Banner of War, Part 2. And I'm so glad for this one that not only do we find out what happened in El Paso, but also we get a much more thorough connection to Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk, which I know a lot of you guys have been shouting at the top of your lungs to get since the premiere of the Smastronaut Hulk. And now we're getting it in Thor issue 25. So let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so initially when we jump in here, we start off at Avengers Mountain, with Tony Stark showing the Avengers and the Fantastic Four that he's located the Hulk within this blood sport arena buried within the deepest reaches of uncharted space. That's a location known as the Black Hand of God. And with Tony showing this to everyone, he kind of takes a moment to more or less fill the shoes as lead genius in the room, because when Reed Richards sees this, he's more or less like, what am I looking at? And when Tony shows him this place and tells him what the Black Hand of God is, and that it's the severed hand of a celestial, and all this information just has Reed Richards, one of the smartest people in the Marvel universe, at a loss for words. And Tony finishes Reed's sentence telling him like, yeah, it's awesome. But when Reed lets Tony know that he was actually going to say that it's terrifying, he then asks Tony, is he sure that the Hulk is there, and how did Tony even find this place? And it's here where Tony tells Reed that he has a network of deep space satellites slaved to his internal mainframe where they constantly sweep for activity in places explored and not explored. And it was just yesterday that his network picked up a sound. And with Reed hearing this, he's like, a sound? In space? But Tony cuts him off before Reed can even finish, because again, Tony's having a moment here. But Tony tells Reed that this sound was so loud that the vibrational frequency knocked out one of his satellites. So from there he triangulated the source of the sonic disturbance, and Tony's like, you know what it was, Reed? It was a voice. It was a voice so loud that it blew a satellite out of the sky from 2,000 miles away. And guess what it said, Reed? Guess what it said? No, listen. It said, Hulk smash. And with hearing this, of course, Reed is just blown away, because even though Tony has some extraterrestrial experience, like we'd seen in 2013 Guardians of the Galaxy, or even as far back as Iron Man Volume 1, issue 142, which at that time was really Iron Man just finding a super huge Roxxon satellite. So with Reed hearing this, he tells Tony, like, no disrespect, but this is impressive, because he wasn't aware that Tony had the resources or the scientific know-how to even pull this off. And it's right there where Tony just tells Reed like, yeah, you know what? I don't. Because the truth is, Thor's Ravens told Tony where the Hulk was at, much like what we'd seen before with the Ravens telling Thor where he could find the Hulk. But at this point, with everyone being caught up on the Hulk's location, but also they're aware that Thor is out there and he's already engaged with the Hulk. So with knowing this, Captain America, he's like, okay, we'll wait and see what resolution Thor comes to, and once we have more intel, then we'll make a move. And Captain Marvel, she completely agrees, and mainly because of the situation in El Paso, that was like the final straw that, like, if nothing else, it showed them that they gotta be more honest with themselves about what the Hulk is capable of. But with Tony hearing this, he's kind of like, yeah, no, I'm gonna fight him. Which initially just had me like, okay, yeah, of course you are, Tony. But with Tony saying this, he lets Cap know that back when the Hulk attacked him at Wondergore, he looked into his eyes, and Tony knows without a doubt that the Hulk was going to kill him. Matter of fact, he tried to kill him, which we saw when Tony brought out multiple Hulkbusters, and Banner was just smashing through each one with no discretion or even the slightest bit of care if Tony was inside of it or not. So with Tony saying this and letting Cap and the others know that he's going after the Hulk, to me it just seems like so much more than Tony just wanting a rematch, but rather much like we talked about back in King in Black with the idea of Tony still holding on to insecurities from Secret Invasion. And this really has me thinking that we're seeing that again, because Tony doesn't just want the Hulk stopped for the sake of everyone's safety, but it's almost like deep down he has to be the one to do it. And with him seeing that look in the Hulk's eye, that look that is willing to kill, as well as the Hulk's recent physical changes, and Tony believes that with his recent project that he has something ready to go up against that. But while Tony's talking to Cap, between every other sentence he's saying things like initiate launch sequence and thrusters at full capacity, and it has Cap like, Tony, are you even here? And Tony's just like, I'm never at these meetings. To where from there we see Tony just take off from a different location in his new toy in order to make his way over to the Black Hand of God. But at this time, within the command deck of the Starship Hulk, we pick back up with Odin, who's made his way into Banner's mind with the intention of Odin speaking to Banner. But right off the bat, Odin lets Banner know that more or less Odin is no man of science, but he assumes that if Odin has to kill Banner in here to bring this monster down, then Odin will do what he has to do. But with Odin leading this conversation with a punch to Banner's face, Banner just quickly puts Odin in restraints, and he tells Odin that he's nothing but a ghost. And regardless to how powerful Odin is, he's in Banner's mind mind right now. And Banner tells Odin, you might be powerful, but in here, I'm God. And right then with Banner having Odin in restraints, he initiates the Starship Hulk auto defenses, which from there just rain fire on Thor's face. But right in this moment, both Banner and the Starship Hulk take a huge hit, with Odin catching a hit on Banner just after he had given the Starship auto defense command, while at the same time on the outside, Thor headbutts the Starship Hulk, which tosses Banner and Odin on the inside, causing Banner to hit his head, which from here unlocks a memory that Banner had thought he'd locked away. And when Banner comes to, it doesn't take him long to realize that they're back in El Paso, which for us, for the longest time, it's been a mystery as far as what exactly happened here. But as we're taken back to this moment through this memory, it's given to us as a reenactment, and I love that now with us finally seeing what happened in El Paso, that it ties directly into the Immortal Hulk. Because while Banner and Odin are watching this, Banner tells Odin that prior to this point that him and the Hulk, they faced the devil and walked away. They survived. They forgave each other and they decided to see the world in a new way, which like we'd seen in the conclusion of Immortal Hulk, that's where it ended, with Banner and his identities seeming to be in a place of harmony. And this is what brought them to El Paso with the intention of saving the world together, because Banner knew that there had been reports of something killing people along the border, so he had been spending time here in order to track that monster down and stop it. And it's here where Odin's like, okay, so you were in this bar and that monster showed up and that's where everything went left. But Banner was like, no, he never saw that monster. It never showed up, but something else did. And it's here where we see Banner, who takes a seat at the bar and he's looking up information on his laptop, and a guy sits next to him and he knocks his drink over on Banner's laptop. And initially Banner's upset, but he doesn't Hulk out, but instead he apologizes to this guy and he offers the dude, like, Banner offers to buy him another drink. But then quickly Banner notices that his rage, or the Hulk's rage, is bleeding over to this guy as well as everyone else in the bar, which again is something that we'd seen over in the pages of the Immortal Hulk. Though at the time it was slightly different, because even back then we would see moments to where the rage of the Hulk would spill over to the Avengers or the UFOs, though at that time it was only the rage itself. But at this point, after the conclusion of Immortal Hulk, with Banner leaving that series in a very harmonious state, but even with this state being a much better one, his side effects have seemed to have gotten an upgrade too, because this time around with the rage that Banner is emitting, it's now causing everyone at this bar to Hulk out. And when that happened and everyone at the bar started attacking Banner, calling him Puny Banner, and the next thing Banner knew, his eyes had just blacked out. And during this time, it was like Banner was trapped in his own body and he couldn't stop himself from punching through guys' chests, slamming heads into the bar, biting cheeks, facial cheeks, and literally just tearing these guys to pieces. But as he tells Odin what's happening here, he lets him know that this thing that took over Banner, it made him watch the whole thing. It wouldn't let him blink, and even though Banner could hear himself telling these people to run and to get out of there, but it was only drowned out by the bones breaking, bottles smashing, and the pure chaos that was underway. But with this then taking us back to that moment where Banner was outside just watching this bar go up in flames, and it's here where Captain Banner tells Odin that this is the moment when he realized, even after beating the devil, that the fury inside of him could not be tamed, which is what then led Banner to using the combination of science and magic to create the Starship Hulk so that he could use it the same way that it has used him. But with Odin seeing this, he asked Banner, how did you build all of this? There are great magics at work here, which for us, like, this is the question that we have been dying to know as far as who helped Banner with the magic side of all this. But before we can get that answer, the ground starts to shake and lightning starts to shoot throughout this memory, because in this very moment Thor has called the hammer back, disconnecting the Odin projection and pulling Odin out of Banner's mind. But before we go forward and just move on from this El Paso memory, I also want to point out that we've seen this moment before, with Banner watching these flames, wishing that he was inside, dying with the rest of those guys in the bar, because we saw him talk about this part of the incident back in Hulk issue 3. Because had this moment continued to have played out from the perspective of Banner, it's likely that we would have also seen what Banner saw in his mind when the Titan Hulk showed up and Banner asked, why did you do this? And the Titan Hulk was just like, because you were weak, boy. And he just popped Banner's head. But instead, like with Odin getting pulled out early, Banner didn't get to tell Odin more. And we can tell with how this is done that Banner wanted to tell Odin more. But with Thor calling back the hammer, he had no indication of what was going on the inside. So Thor just had no clue that Odin was making progress. So with Odin telling Thor that he needs more time, and Banner still on the inside yelling for Odin to come back, and it's like, man, we were so close to getting those magic questions answered, which is something I guess we'll have to wait for either part 3 or somewhere else in this series. But if I had to guess, I'm just guessing that it's someone who uses chaos magic. Just throwing that out there. But with Banner screaming for Odin to come back, He's trying to tell him that the Hulk doesn't know that he's not in a simulation. And that's where we find out how exactly the auto defenses are set up, with it pretty much being the Hulk on the inside, believing that he can go full kill mode on whatever comes out in front of him. Because before, the things that the Hulk would see in the engine room, they were just ridiculous. Some of it familiar, but for the most part, ridiculous. But with Hulk in that engine room, from issue 1 of Hulk, he's known that he's in the engine room. And the Hulk is known from the beginning that everything that shows up in here, he can absolutely cut loose on, because they're not actually here, and this simulation is only producing what Banner wants to be in the engine room and how Banner wants it to be there. But now with the autopilot pretty much just placing the Hulk in full control, snapping him from the engine room into reality, to where now the first thing that the Hulk sees is this bright light with Tony Stark descending as Mecha Celestial Titan Buster Iron Man, and you can just imagine that the Hulk is looking at this like, oh, this is ridiculous too, because there's no way that what he's seeing, what we're looking at, is the real deal. Which is the messed up part, because this is all very real. And if the Hulk really unleashes and goes full Titan and kills Iron Man, then that death is gonna be real too. Because in this moment with the Hulk in control, he does not know that this is not a simulation. And I don't blame the Hulk for thinking that it is, because Celestial Mecha Iron Man is looking crazy right now, and I'm digging it a lot. But it sucks for Tony that the Hulk is still in murder mode, thinking that this is just another level where he needs to kill everything. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support, and for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below so you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.